Welcome to our class. This week we'll be looking at blood grouping, a very important topic when it comes to probability in genetics. Here you will see that for a while now our questions in genetics have been in one way or the other linked to blood grouping. So there is need for us to understand tentatively to identify different blood groups and also different antigens that are found in this blood group, their compatibility, and the rhesus factor. We'll be looking at this as a whole this week. The first thing we should be talking about is the blood and its components. What are the components of the blood? We know that blood itself is a liquid fluid that consists of many components. The blood is made up of 55% of plasma and 45% of blood cells. We know the blood cell that we have the red blood cell that is biconcave in shape. We have the white blood cell, we have the platelets, and we have the plasma. The plasma is 55% of the blood. We also have the serum, or that we call they are proteins, or we call them plasma fibrinogen that made up the plasma. Like I told you some time ago, that because of these proteins, that gives the plasma its color. The color of the plasma that tends to be a slight yellow-like color. That is because of these proteins, or that we call the serum. What is an antigen or antibody? An antigen is the foreign substance that triggers the production of antibodies. Because here you're supposed to understand that in the blood cells, especially in the erythrocyte, which is the red blood cell, that there are many antigens that are found there. These antigens, they trigger the production of antibodies. What are antibodies? The antibodies are the substances produced in response to antigen. So whenever there is an antigen, there is a foreign substance, these antibodies will be produced in order to respond to them. So antibodies are substances that are produced in response to antigens. What is agglutination? You see these terms? Note these terms, understand them very well. They are very, very important. Agglutination. When an antigen reacts with an antibody, agglutination will occur. When there is a counteraction between an antigen and antibody, agglutination will occur. Or we say that is the clumping of red blood cells. When this happens, is in some cases, there is always a detrimental effect. There is always an adverse effect when clumping occurs. Where you see in few cases, you might not see such situation. Look at this diagram. You see that here we have a type A blood of a donor, and we have, and it will produce an antibody that will agglutinate the type A recipient. Here you will see that because A will produce this antibody B, there won't be agglutination. Type A blood will produce this antibody. There is no agglutination. But if you have type B will produce an type B coming in contact with A recipient. Agglutination will occur. Agglutination, you see there will be a counteraction in which it will result to the bursting of the red blood cell, the process that we call hemolysis. So agglutination, whenever it occurs, it results to the destruction of the red blood cell. It is always as a result of non-complementary antigen and the antibody coming together. The next one is introduction to blood grouping. When we talk about blood grouping, we have about 35 blood group systems that are recognized. But the most important one out of all these 35 is the ABO blood group system and the rhesus system. At times you can also see blood group system that we have M and N system, but all these ones, they have a little importance. The ABO blood group system and the rhesus system are the more important blood group system that we have. And this classification of this blood group, when we say that we have ABO blood group, this classification is based on the presence of the antigen that is being inherited in the red blood cell. So the presence of the antigen on the surface of the red blood cell determines the name that will be given to a particular individual or a particular blood group. We have the ABO blood group, which brings about the presence of antigen A, antigen B, antigen A and B, and the no antigen, which is group O. So we have this A, AB, B, and O as the 4 blood group system. We normally call them the ABO blood group. ABO blood group system is determined by the ABO gene that is always located in chromosome. So the gene has 3 allelic pairs or 3 allelic forms. Here you see allelic form of antigen A, antigen B, and the no antigen, which is the one we call O. It's called O because there is absence of antigen on the surface of this blood. So with this, we can be able to see that we have another one too, which has the 2 coming together, A and B. We have the 2 antigen on the surface of the membrane of the red blood cell. This brings about the antigen. So if A antigen is present, the blood group will be called blood group A. If B antigen is present, the blood group will be group B. If A and B is present in a particular blood cell, a red blood cell, we will say that that blood is AB. But if there is neither A nor B, there is no antigen at all, we say that the blood group is what? O. Now note this, that the immune system always forms antibodies that will fight against any antigen that is present. The immune system forms antibodies against whichever ABO blood group that are antigens that are present. So if a person with blood group A, we have B antibodies, and other ones, and any other one, that someone that has blood group B, we have antibody A. You see that the immune system always provides different antibodies depending on the type of blood group that you have that will fight against the present antigen. Now, what are these antibodies? In blood group A has antibody B. Remember, its name comes as a result of the presence of antigen A. So, because of the presence of antigen A, we say that it's blood group A, and it produces an antibody called antibody B, sorry. Now, blood group B has an antigen B on its membrane, and it produces an antibody what? A. Blood group AB has no antibody, but on the blood it has antigen A and B. Blood group O has no antigen. That's why we say it's O. It has no antigen, but it has antibody A and B. Based on the presence of this antigen on the surface of the red blood cell, the flowing blood types are identified, just as I said earlier. And if you make crosses of this ABO blood group, you will be able to identify the following genotype. Blood group A can possibly have this A genotype or O genotype. What I mean here is that you can someone who has blood group A has 2 alternatives or probability of the person to have either AA in its genotype or AO, just like what I have here. So if someone has AO in its genotype, which means that A is coming from the mother or the father, while the other one is coming from the other person. If the person has AA on each genotype, the A is coming from the other one, while A is coming from the other parent. So the person inherited the 2 from his or her parents. If someone is in group B, it must have been as a result of that the person inherited B or O alternatively from his or her parents. Or if someone has B or B here, either from mother, B from mother, and B from father, to bring about blood group B. Someone that has AB in his or her blood group, it means that the person inherited A from mother or father, B from mother or father. Someone that has O, remember that O is always a recessive blood group here. O, if one has blood group O, that means that the person the parents must have given out a recessive gene, and the mother has also given out a recessive gene to bring about OO. Just like our last week assignment, you were able to identify that there is possibility of someone who belongs to blood group A to produce a child or an individual, a new offspring who belongs to group O, if the person has a heterozygote gene of this O. Now we will talk about the universal donors and universal recipients or acceptors. If we talk about universal donors, we can be able to talk about blood groups that has the ability or that can donate blood to anyone. And when we talk about the universal donor, we have O negative as the blood group. O negative is the blood group that can donate blood to any other blood group. When we talk about universal acceptors or recipient that can be able to accept blood from anyone, we are talking about the AB positive blood group. AB positive blood group can collect blood. It can accept blood from anyone. These are the two universal donors and universal acceptors.